Tonight, on the first episode of the Cheering the Logo podcast, we'll be talking about the Ben Chiarot trade, the effect Martin St. Louis has on the Canadiens, the Carey Price potential return, as well as trade deadline rumors. Stay with us. Good evening, Habs fans. This is JD Lagrange from Cheering the Logo podcast. Very first episode. Happy to be with you where we talk. It's brought to you by cheeringthelogo.ca, by the way. I would like to introduce you a good friend of mine. We do podcasts in French together. He's one of the co-hosts of Hockey Sans Limite. My good friend, Sylvain Perrault, straight from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bonsoir. Good evening. Yeah, you caught me in the middle of a book, and that will probably happen through all the episode. That may be one of my signature stuff. So, reading great books, the perfect wedding details for what it means. So,
did you find a chapel there in Vegas?
Yeah, that's it. I was telling you earlier. It's here. It's a perfect pre-wedding place. The wedding, that's another story, and how long it'll last after, that's another thing. So, hey, good evening, everyone. So happy to be on your first episode there, the first Bosscat. For the first of, I think you signed a contract for 1,000, right?
Well, so, 1,000. We'll see. One at a time.
Let's start the first one. 5-minute podcast. We can get easy to.
We'll split it in one game segments.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, what about that Ben Chiarot trade?
What a news that is. I mean, we were preparing for this first podcast today, and out of the blue, this came out. We were going to talk about it in trade rumors, and the news came out that Ben Chiarot, 50% of the salary retained, was traded to the Florida Panthers, and in return, the Canadiens get Tyler Smilanic, or
we got to get used to his name.
Yeah, he's an American from Denver, Colorado, a center. We also received a first-round pick in 2023 and a fourth-round pick in 2022 in the trade for pending unrestricted free agent Ben Chiarot. I'm sad to see Chiarot go. How do you feel about it?
Me too. This guy has shown since in beer that he really wants to be part of the solution, part of the team. He brings something very different to others. I think we kind of elevated because of the departure of the absence, I would say, of Weber, among others, and I think he got elevated to a role that is not normally is. But last year during the playoff, he sat perfectly in the perfect chair, and he brought a lot to the team. So that's what I think raises value. And the Martin St. Louis give him all the ice that he needed to increase his value also. But Chiarot he has mentioned, I read that somewhere just before going on that he'd be back in Montreal in a heartbeat if he gets an offer from the Canadian when once he's RFA at the end of the season. And you know what? For the right price, I'll bring him back for sure. Yeah, he brings something very unique to the defensive corps there that nobody else can bring. So.
Remember when Marc Bergevin signed him, a lot of people were saying, oh, why do you pay so much for a third pair defenseman and so on? And I had done some research back then, and he had played most of his time actually was spent with Pietrangelo in St. Louis. In Winnipeg, actually, he was, I was talking about Edmonton here, but the Edmonton situation was also the same. That's why I'm saying that. But he was playing with Byfuglien mostly in Winnipeg. Prior to signing with Montreal. Now, he's not a glorified first pair defenseman, but the guy, in my opinion, is definitely a top 4 defenseman in this league.
Yes, and I think they're going to position him. They're going to probably integrate him to the third pair for now, and then he's going to make his way up because again, he's going to bring something to Florida that they don't have right now, and it'd be a perfect complement for this team. So, how much as we are we getting back? Because we're looking always at the classic and the easy solution. Oh, we need a first draft pick in exchange for him. People never mention the year. We're going to get a plus prospect. I don't follow prospect as much as some of our colleagues on other podcasts, but I don't know about this Milanic guy. But just what I read, he's pretty well considered. And then you get a fourth round pick, which could be anything after. But a first round pick next year in a draft that looks very interesting. I mean, sounds good to me. So, I mean, it's not like if we get another first round this year that the club is going to be a contender during the season next year. So, I mean, the rebuild, the reset, the reconstruction, how much is it? I mean, it goes with picks, first round picks in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think we get a good return for Chiarot. And again, what I'm saying is that he's going to be RFA at the end of the year, and he may very well come back for the right price to Montreal. So,
and that first round pick, it's important to note as well that it's not protected.
No.
Now, Florida should have a good team next year as well. Let's agree on that. However, we thought after Montreal reached the finals, we never thought we'd have that poor of a season either. So it's important to note that anyway. Let's look at that Smilanic kid. He just turned 20 in January. He's 6'1", 175 pounds. So he needs to put a little bit of muscles on. I would say another 15 pounds, 10, 15 pounds at least. He's a former third round pick, 74th overall in 2020 by the Panthers. In the NCAA, he played for Quinnipiac University. He had 13 goals, 22 points, and in 38 games this season, and that's his sophomore year. Okay, so he still has at least one more year of college in front of him. And he was also part of the U.S. development program in the U17 and U18, and he's eligible to play in the World Junior Championship for Team USA this summer, whether he accepts to do it or not. So he may not be a grade A blue chip prospect from my understanding, but he's a good B plus prospect. So a lot of people see him as a good third line center that can possibly be as good as a second line center eventually. So it's not too bad considering.
No, you never get too many of those. And again, if we just go into numbers and letters, we wanted a first round draft pick, which we get. I mean, it's not this year, but it's next year, and a B plus or A prospect. I think we got a B plus from what I started reading on him, and we get an additional, fourth round pick this year, which could be packaged in another trade that I'm hoping that Hughes is going to make along the line. So you just pick up that you can package it with another. People, if someone wants to retain salary, if you need to retain salary, you pick up something. I mean, this fourth round draft pick for me, you could get a pretty nice surprise there, but it also can be used for trade, just to embellish a trade offer that you're making. So overall, I'm sad to see him go, but this is something that probably we start talking about the trade deadline in September with the Canadians. So Chiarot was the guy that was already always mentioned. And here it goes. And tomorrow night they're playing against the Golden Knights, and chances are I'm gonna go there.
Dallas.
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check.
You're talking about Florida?
No, Florida. So they're playing. They're playing against the Golden Knights tomorrow night here. Yeah. So I'm gonna check if they intend to put him in the lineup and try to get there, see how the Panther uniform looks on him. So.
Now, wouldn't it be great if Florida faced the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round?
Oh.
And Chiarot prevent them from advancing to the second round for an 18th season in a row.
Yeah, he's going to have a field day there, and probably write him a personal note. So for people who are going to watch this, you're going to learn quickly that Toronto is not my favorite team. Let's put it this way. Nothing against the people that live there, well, for the most part, and nothing against the other sports team. I'm a fan of Blue Jays, but the Maple Leaf, Jesus, I love to hate them.
Okay, and I mean the team has been doing quite well, actually, we must say, especially when you're comparing to the start of the season.
Ye-
I'd like to talk a little bit about Martin St. Louis, if you don't mind, the effect that he's had on the team in general. We'll get into the individual stats, but the effect that this guy has had on the team is pretty amazing.
Absolutely, and it's surprising. You kind of feel the electroshock following the I don't know, we could the obvious end of Ducharme's career as the Montreal Canadian coach. So we could see that coming. I mean, it was just a matter of days and everything. And he got the legendary kiss of death by the vice president and general manager. He's going to be my coach till the end of the year. So we people who've been following hockey as long as we have been, damn well that okay, the clock is ticking when that happens. So St. Louis comes in, no one has expectation. He's supposed to be evaluate the talent and report it to to management, and here he goes. I mean, players, and you look at the stats there. So it took a couple of games to get things figured out, and for some reason he's able to unleash the limited talent of this team, and the best players are now the best players on the ice. And yeah, it's to
He
everyone's
was.
surprise.
It's funny because he's never coached higher than Pee Wee. People were
Mm.
joking about that, but let's face it, and we were joking about that as well in French on Hockey Sans Limite, that the Canadians were playing like a Pee Wee team, so that was a match made in heaven. But he's got them playing full cylinders right now
Yep.
for a team with so many injuries. Still, let's not forget. I mean, we're still looking at a team that's very much decimated by injuries, a team that hasn't had their number one or number two goalies since St. Louis has been there, and they're struggling in goal. Yet, they score a goal per game more on average, and they allow about half a goal fewer per game right now under St. Louis than they did before. So it's a pretty amazing record when you think of it. The other factor is you look at guys like Caulfield, you look at guys like Suzuki, and on an individual perspective, the players are picking it up as well individually.
Absolutely. So and again, the those who are supposed to be the best or will be the best eventually are just going for it. I mean, Caulfield is a, is completely unleashed and feels free on the ice. Suzuki is producing at the rhythm that we should have expect from a guy his talent and with his short tenure. Um, you got guys like Pitlick, who's picked up in the wild dumpster. Um, and this guy is going to be a nice addition in the future. I think a top nine guy who can play like on the second line and plug a hole if on the top lines. But this guy can do pretty much anything. And how about Lehkonen? Lehkonen, what's going on with this guy? And
Mhm.
to the point where people, we got to trash Lehkonen now. People don't want to trade him. Um, Lehkonen is I don't know if Lehkonen is what he's doing now is just like a short sample of what he can do through all the through a complete season, or this is just like a kind of flash in the pan thing. But he's doing well right now. So, and when the best thing about all this, we're still last in the league,
Yeah.
and people don't talk about it right now. They don't talk about. They don't make jokes about it. Compare us to the Nordiques, to the Capitals, the worst edition of the Cleveland Barons, and stuff like that. We're still last. No one's talking about it. There's only 22 games left. We're going to get through this, and we're going to start to fall in love with some of our players again. So thanks to Martin St. Louis. And just, what do you think, JD? I'm asking you a question. Will he be signed as a Montreal coach for next year? Will he stay, you think?
I think that the interim was as much for St. Louis as it was for the Canadians, for Hughes and Gordon. I mean, St. Louis wanted to see what he had in hands, and also he wanted to see if he could implement a concept that is pretty unique, with no specific systems to speak of, but with a structure that he calls, where when you don't have the puck, you need to stay within that structure. But he wants to leave some freedom offensively to his best offensive players so that they can use their skills and their mind to create plays and generate offense. And so far, I mean, a guy like Caulfield, we talked about it. I mean, 10 goals in 15 games so far. So that's a pace for 55 goals a season. I'm not saying that he will score 55 a season yet. He might get there. I don't know. But it's still an excellent pace, and he has 1.27 points per game or something like that. A guy like Suzuki is a point per game. If Gordon and Hughes didn't know who Nick Suzuki was, I tell you what, they're not looking for a number one center anymore because they found one in Suzuki here.
Yep.
So
And
what St. Louis did is bring a wind of fresh air. We knew that this team was better than it was, and it's unfortunate for Ducharme because he had the perfect storm against him. I'm not willing to throw everything on him. I think that there were other factors also that played into it, but you can't take away what Martin St. Louis has meant and done with the Canadiens.
Yeah, completely. And I'm curious to see how, because there's two guys that haven't played under Martin St. Louis yet, and one of them is Drouin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, I think he's that close for a return. I think it's a week or two, so they're going to bring him for the last month, and he's going to be put in the window. I'm not sure they're going to put him in a window, but they're going to make him. I mean, they're going to give him his chance to produce because he had a good season before his injury. I mean, people tend to follow that, and that was the same thing the year before. Oh, Drouin is this, Drouin is that. He suffered two major injuries, like two wrists for a guy who, literally make his money out of a wrist shot and passing and everything. It's not a it's not a shoulder, it's not anything. He got surgery last year. This year, I don't know what happened, but I mean,
and the time missed due to his
completely. So
his mental health here,
and then he's a new dad. So there's a bunch of things happening. But I saw a couple of the sequence in practice, and he seemed to be eager to come back and happy to come back. So he's going to be flying on the ice once he gets back there. And so we're going to see him. There's a center that hasn't been played in a long time, and it seems that we keep eyeing him. The kid from out of Arizona that we've haven't seen much of him, and he hasn't.
And he's close to returning as well.
He's close to returning, and he was not the player that you and I have seen from the Western teams playing. I mean, he was a solid regular guy, not a superstar, but a very decent second center for the Canadiens. Could have been a second, third center, but I mean, this guy was like a ghost.
He was playing better, before he got hurt last time here. He was playing. His game had picked up. We could see a little bit of what we saw here out west with him. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I know they placed Cédric Paquette on waivers. He cleared this morning, and now they've put Mathieu Perreault on waivers, so they'll probably send him down. So I'm assuming that a player is coming back, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was Dvorak coming back against Dallas on tomorrow night on Thursday.
It'd be nice to see him in action, and then you can move Dauphin to the wing and just get the best players you have in the books right now on the ice, and Ilonen is there now. So
perhaps they'll move Pitlick to the wing and get him on that center line, with Pitlick on the left too.
Right? I wouldn't say I'm excited. I mean, we lived through the best years and some of the worst year of the Canadiens, so I'm excited. There's only 22 games left. I'm definitely going to be to miss the playoff and the vibe from last year, which was absolutely incredible. And now the Golden Knights here may miss the playoff too, so I'm gonna have a super.
Yeah, we'll get on that. I saved something for you.
It's painful. It's painful. Yeah.
Speaking of return here, Sly.
Yeah.
Jake Allen apparently might be starting tomorrow night.
Oh, good
and
Lord.
We have seen also Carey Price practicing quite hard. I mean, he's been doing some strong lateral movements. Stefan Waite spoke about it. Don't agree with everything Stefan says, but if there's one guy who knows Carey Price well, it's this guy, right? He's been his goaltender coach for a few years now, and he's watching him practice, and he says he's very close to a comeback. He's taking shots now and rebounds and pushing, and so Allen back possibly tomorrow and Price back soon. So what does that mean for the goaltending situation in Montreal?
Oh, big relief. Could you imagine? Like, I know, I know it's probably going to be like only 15 games with our regular tandem because no one was questioning that tandem last year, right? So we're talking about one of the top pair of goalies in the entire league, and we lost both of them. Well, I mean, we lost Price all year, but and when we lost Allen, so we're down to 6, 7 goalies now who have been dressed up. I mean, it's go back to the years of Steve Penny and other guys like Doug Sodart and so,
Yeah.
but it's painful to watch. I mean, it's a Samuel Montembeault is doing what he can. He's a regular. Some great nights, some super bad nights, which is kind of common for a young goalie who's been kind of overused right now because he played his like third game in 4 nights or something like that recently. Um, Primo is definitely not ready for the
No.
NHL, and will he ever be ready? I'm starting to have my doubts on that because there's other kids coming in the pipeline, right? There's 3 gigantic goalies coming, and they may force the Canadians to end on that one. So, what does it
Competition is
mean?
good.
Yeah, no, completely. But
So what do you do when Allen comes back? I'm assuming you're just sending Primo down, right? And
oh yeah, completely. And
so
then
then you have Montembeault and Allen, and then when Price comes back, we're talking possibly. Well, they didn't say anything, but Wait stipulated that perhaps it was, for April, early April, possibly to see Price in net, maybe
well,
even
if that's the
before.
case, they're going to be like 15 games left, so they're going to give him like 5, 6, and Montembeault can sit in the stands if they don't have too many people on IR and everything. They can keep him around. I doubt they're going to put him on waivers with 2 weeks left. That would not be that elegant. And imagine you put him on waiver, he clears waivers, he goes to Laval, bumps everybody out there, and gets
No, but a Primo Montembeault tandem,
oh
if Laval is in the playoffs, is not
yeah,
bad
I,
either.
I like Poulain, but that would be a strong duo for sure. And what do you do with Hammond, right? Why do we just put Hammond back on
Oh,
waivers when you
probably.
get there? So yeah, we probably.
Yeah.
But he got brand new pads. He got his new pads made, so yeah, instead of the green ones. So that's that. I'm excited. I mean, unlike most people, I don't think Carey has played his last game in Montreal. I do not.
No.
I do not think that he wants out either. Um, I think this year kind of reset the whole thing and the expectation to see Price is back next year. I think it's going to be in a better environment, and he wants to be part of this of what's going on right now. He said it.
Hmm. And so speaking of which, I mean, trade deadline's coming. So what do you do with Jake Allen? Some people are saying, if Allen is back, trade him. Well, my personal opinion on that is,
No,
there's a rumor. Well, let's forget that rumor yet. But I wouldn't trade Allen yet until you know about Price,
completely.
because some people were saying, I was debating online today with some people on Twitter, and some people were saying trade him regardless and get some assets and then try to sign a 1A or 1B in the summer. Well, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to sign a 1A or 1B. For one thing, it's Montreal, but also not the season they've had, not everybody will want to come here.
No,
So
and
drawing free agents might be a little bit easier with St. Louis, but don't think that they will be rushing and knocking at the door to come here. Not with the taxes and the temperature, the language, the season, the not winning, the getting
and
rid of a bunch of veterans.
yeah, over and above all the weather and the taxes, it's going to be the kind of season that a 1A or 1B can expect. There's going to be at least 10 teams going after these goalies next year, and some of them will contenders. Some of them are sure bets for the playoff if they get that guy. It's not going to be the case here. I don't think Montreal is going to make the playoff for the next 2 years for in reconstruction. So if Price is healthy enough and wants to stay around, he'll be a great mentor for the kids and everything. Allen has terms. You don't need to trade him. And unless you're 100% sure that Price is going to be able to go through the end of the season, go through training camp, and start the season next year, you keep him around. And this guy is 1 year term at 2.75. I mean, it's super reasonable, and he loves to play here. Just
Yeah.
keep him. Just keep him. Why the rush? Why do you want to liquidate everything?
It's
I
not
mean,
like you don't have prospects or you don't have picks already. I mean, he is an
because you're
asset.
not going to get a first round pick for Allen. So
And he's going to be as good of an asset. What I'm saying is he's going to be as good of an asset this summer or at the trade deadline next
completely,
year
yeah,
as he is today.
yeah.
Yes, he'll have one fewer year left to his contract, but look at today how many teams are looking for a goalie improvement in goal. So next year will be the same thing. It's the same thing every year.
Next year is going to be the same thing. He's going to be a rental. If you want to trade him at that trade deadline, then it becomes a better thing because he doesn't have terms and he's going to cost like whatever for a team who's going to be in difficulty, like Port Toronto, for example. So,
You
but
touched on him earlier, Sly. I want to launch you back on it now this time, but do you think Lekanen will be gone? He's in high demand. There's apparently
I think
four or
he's going
five
to.
teams.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay. I think they want to keep him around. And again, it's a. I'm not in there. These guys. I mean, Hughes and Gorton don't have any link to any of the guys in the lineup right now because they haven't drafted them. They haven't traded for them. Um, so for them, they're probably they value them as individuals, but they're assets, right? So it's not like Mark Bergevin how emotional he was getting in the relationship and what he thought of his players. There was all his kids, and it's not the case with the two others. The two others mean business, and if they think they can improve the club, it was short term. Forget it. But mid and long term, they're going to trade Lekanen. But my guess is that if he has reasonable demands for salary, he'll stay. He's going to be an expensive third liner, but at one point you need to pay your guys, right? And
Here's my take on that
you
is
need to unload Armia. So that's I'm going to
yeah,
launch you on
they
this.
need to unload salary, period.
Yeah,
Right? They need to right now they have no breathing room, even to bring back Price. What are they going to do, right? You need to unload a ton of salary in order to, because right now we're already in the LTIR, right? So we got rid of half of
Chiarot.
Charot's, right? Because we kept half of it, but we need to unload more salary. And I was looking at, it's Frank Saravalli who was saying that Lekanen this year is the Blake Coleman or the Barclay Goodrow
Yeah.
of previous years, right? And no, the New Jersey Devils got Nolan Foote, so a type A defenseman, a former first round pick, good young defenseman, and a first round pick when they traded them, right? So if they can get a good prospect and a first round pick for Lekanen, and they need to save salary. I mean, I look at Coleman makes about just under 5 million. I think it's 4.9 million. He signed a 6-year contract at 4.9 million with a no trade clause, a modified no trade clause. And Goodrow, the same thing, but he makes 3.7 or something like that. So Lekanen, I was comparing his stats. Actually, I did an article last week on cheeringthelogo.ca, and he would be fetching somewhere between 4 to 4.5 million based on those stats on those guys alone. And you think his agent is not going to negotiate that?
Yeah.
So do you pay a guy over a 6-year term the same amount? So I'm thinking cash in your assets if the offer is right, because I have absolutely no issue keeping Lekanen. He's a leader in that dressing room. He's worn the A before on his jersey. He's an excellent player. So if the price isn't right, you keep him.
Yeah, emotions set apart and the attachment to the player set apart. I mean, there's no way they can afford having a guy at 4.5 million who I mean, his ceiling is third line, right? So, and he doesn't play on power plays. And so that's that. Hey, if we can get the same return out as Coleman brought last year,
Yeah.
yeah, just go for it. And I think they're waiting for the right moment right now. So, and and again, if it's not now, the problem is that he's RFA on he's going to be worth less this summer because of his RFA status. They may have to tweak some and twist some arms to get it going. Because the thing is, if you trade players this summer, I mean, there's now a whole lot of teams that would be interested, and the cap is not an issue, and because they have time to calculate for it. Right now, if he's not traded to a contender, I don't think he would be traded. I mean, I don't see that trading like to a team that is not going to make the playoff this year. he's going to go for they're going to try to swing it to a team, get maximum value to him, a team in the playoff, a team that thinks that this guy is complementary to their current crew.
Mhm.
And but I would be very very sad. Same, probably more so than Chariot. And for some reason, Lekanen has been everyone has been beating on him because of his inability to find a net. Now that he find it, we're going to trade it. They're going
Yeah,
to trade him. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so we'll
And
see.
then and another intriguing case is Jeff Petrie. Obviously, he's had a horrible, horrible season to hit. Not only to his standards, he was probably one of the worst defensemen on the team all year. He's been better since St. Louis has become the coach. He's had a few bad games. I was watching the game last night, and
Ooh,
the first goal, I'm not willing to throw rocks at him because Joannette, the referee, got in his way.
yeah,
Really did a pick on him. But the second goal, man, was he ever soft? And he missed a few other coverages in the first period where they didn't score. The Coyotes didn't score, but it was, he wasn't covering his man. So Dallas apparently is still interested in them, and Philadelphia was interested, although they have re-signed Ristolainen. I'm wondering if they still are interested, but apparently there is interest in Jeff Petrie, and I'm wondering that might be a move that's easier to do in the off season, don't you think?
yeah. That's what I was going to say. This is going to be a summer trade, and I mean, I can be totally wrong, but he's not going to be in the Habs uniform. Comes in next training camp. Um, Family situation. His wife made it clear that she wants to know nothing about coming back to Canada. I don't know if he has I'm not sure if he has a non-trade or limited non-trade clause, but definitely all the Canadian teams will be on it. So he's going to play south of the border, somewhere Michigan, down again in July. There's a whole bunch of teams that will be interested in Jeff Petrie because you're starting pretty much from scratch, and Detroit would be a natural to go there, and
He is
he'd
from
be,
Michigan. Yeah.
and he is from Michigan, as dad's played for the Tigers, but he'd be absolutely great over there. That mentoring, well, I don't know what kind of mentor he is, but I mean, he'd fit well in that group, but I don't know if he's
Well, they got a few veterans also that are free agents at the end of the season,
yeah,
so they have a
Stahl and
lot of
Anderson.
salary coming off the
Yep.
books.
hmm And I
Guys
don't know
like
if he's
Mark Stahl and
Iserman's type, but I think he's gone. But at trade deadline, I'm not sure of that. So
yeah, and Joel Armia there in Dreger was saying that teams are calling for him. It's a little bit surprising. He's been playing a little bit better the last couple of games,
I hope they pick
but
up the phone. I do hope they pick up the phone. So
so do I. I mean, I used to love Joel, but man, that's one guy that hasn't woken up when since St. Louis took over, and so I'm a little bit worried about him to be certain. Unlike Gallagher, who I think is showing signs of life, but Armia is just not showing anything. Maxime Guérin was saying that in his mind, Mike Hoffman would be the next one gone. Now we know that Chiarot left. We know that Toffoli left. But do you think there's a market for Mike Hoffman? I had him to Pittsburgh myself.
yeah, well, it's been in the talk. NHL Network has been talking to him at Pittsburgh. They also talking about him at Minnesota. I don't know if they can fit him under the cap. That'd be crazy. Um, and Los Angeles. So I mean, depending on where you are in the country and what your Twitter timeline is giving you,
Hmm.
you get a guy like Hoffman. So he's definitely of interest. He can provide secondary scoring, power play scoring for as many teams as you want. I even heard Boston. So these days, but I think this guy could be gone. He doesn't have crazy terms on his contract, and you can swing him in another trade after. Um, Hoffman again is started. He's on and off. So, but we knew that about the player. So my expectation of Hoffman is that he comes in, plays a couple of games, gets you super excited, and then he goes to you like for 2 weeks. And that's the problem with Armia. So he starts the season, he goes to you all season, and then he comes back. You think it's a different dude in number 40 jersey, and then he leaves again. Frustrating. The guy has size, abilities, he got no mean to him, right? So except in the playoff last year. So what they
And he's
under
better. Honestly, he's better defensively than I thought he was. He's done a lot of good back checks, I found. He's taken his man most of the time. He goes back deep into the zone. I wasn't expecting that from him, especially reading François Gagnon, who absolutely hates the guy.
Yeah.
But I felt defensively he's better than a lot of guys actually on the team.
Yeah, but you see, JD, what we do now is the equation salary versus performance, right? And
Yeah.
we do that all the time. Sometimes it's completely unfair. In his case, I think it is because this guy, again, his ceiling is
That's
top.
4.5 million. It's not.
Well, that's expensive for a guy whose ceiling is third line, and can play on the power play. He does absolutely great on the PK, but that is expensive. This is
Yeah.
where in fourth line you want to keep your guys rotating, your players or marginal players. Um, there's a bunch of things with this guy that plays against him. Hey, it's not his fault if someone gave him a 4 point something million contract, right? So can't blame the guy for that. But he just doesn't live to the numbers expectation.
Elliot Friedman has Christian Dvorak saying that teams are drawing interest. He's drawing interest from some teams, and also he's saying that the Habs are shopping Shea Weber's contract. And today he added that the Arizona Coyotes really want that contract in order to reach the cap
Yeah,
floor. So there
without
might be
spending.
something to trading Weber's contract here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Dvorak, I don't believe in it. Again, the guy is like 24, 25-year-old now,
Something
and
like that.
somewhere like that. I mean, he was injured and everything. And again, this guy with the proper environment, maybe with Marty St. Louis, I wouldn't trade him during this season. I mean, let's see what we can bring. But Shea Weber's contract, oh, that one hurts though. It's like symbolically trading the captain, trading the leader. But now it becomes a question of financials and mathematics. So obviously, without spending, I mean, this cap weight and the amount of money that they need to spend for him is like there's a huge difference. So Arizona, without spending money, literally would get a nice cap leverage on this. And
I think he's making 6 million this year, but he's dropping to 3 million next year, and then
yeah,
after that,
but
he's
his cap
dropping
impact
down.
is much lower than that. So
His
I
cap
think
hit is 7.8 something like. So that's why if they were paying him, they would be paying him less than the cap hit, and
yeah,
it's the cap hit that they need, right?
what they're looking for. So that and again, Minnesota, because of their cap situation, they with Parise and what's the other guy that they overpaid for a long time and they bought back their contract. So that's
Yeah.
going to bite them so hard in the next 2-3 years. So they might look at a kind of a sponge contract like the one at Weber. But again, I hope he's not going to play again, right? So tell me he's not going to play again, because if we were going to trade him and miraculously is ankles or wrist or fingers like
No, and the fun thing is I had a discussion with a follower on Twitter about that, and they were saying that maybe he would be coming back, but I think, or actually, what they were wondering is why isn't he coming out to the media? Why can't he go out and speak to the media? Well, we found out. I think it was with our friend Guy from Hockey Sans Limit that Le Doyen, who was I was
I think
talking to,
he was frustrated that
and
he wouldn't come out. Yeah.
but what happens is he's getting paid by insurance. If you've dealt with disability insurance,
hmm In the U.S.,
the
I
less you
not
say,
personally, but yeah.
the least you say, the better it is. Because if you put your foot in your mouth, you're dead. They'll
Well,
be looking for every opportunity not to pay. That is
remember the
the
press.
reason why he doesn't
You,
want to go in.
you remember the press conference where Jonathan Drouin said, "Oh, we talked to
He's
we
retired.
talked to
Yeah,
him and he's retiring." Yeah, I know. So Drouin
yeah,
was never in the press conference after, but
yeah.
yeah, I think that is a valid reason, and the fact that Weber is not the guy who comes out publicly,
No,
the most often. So
and there's
I,
nothing new to report, right?
yeah,
So
you still,
he's not coming back. Bergevin was pretty adamant about it. It
yeah.
sounds like Hughes and Gorton have made put a cross on it too. Renaud Lavoie last week, and now Elliot Friedman this week added to it. But apparently, the Canadians are in discussion with Bill Guerin in the Wild for a college player who will become unrestricted this summer. Jake McBain, a center, 6'3" center, 215 pounds or something like that. who is in the same situation as Jordan Harris is with Montreal, except that he's told the Wild that he will not be signing and he's planning on testing the free agency market. Darren Dreger today also added that the asking price is a second round pick, and that he specifically said that Kent Hughes has no problem paying that as long as he signs with Montreal. So they would have to agree to a deal, but it sounds like Jake McBain is a target for the Canadiens.
I don't know the player. I just read about him that size and talent is there. I kind of read on Twitter to some guys who are following the prospect. It's very polarizing. Some people say, "Oh, that would be a great deal for a second," and some others said, "Please do not touch this guy. He's no good." Um,
I've read people comparing it to Ryan Poehling.
Okay, we have one already, so that's yeah. So Poehling is going to be good, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, with these guys in the NCAA, that's kind of weird, especially if they go through the end of their eligibility. They're older than the players that are starting there, so the comparative are often there's often a discrepancy between how you can compare them to equivalent players. They haven't played in the AHL, so some of these guys, I mean, you can hit a grand slam with an NCAA player of that age in the last year of eligibility, but you can also do a big swing and a miss there. So giving out a second round pick for this, it probably requires some reflection on U's part. But if you want to go for it, that feel free. It's not mine.
Well, the thing is, it's prospects, right? So
Yeah.
you're trading a pick for a prospect who can play the NHL. So a second round pick there's no guarantee that they will play in the NHL anyway. So in that aspect, that's what Hughes is trying to do, right? To get some guys that are closer to the NHL for now.
Yeah. Can I throw a name in the rumors right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I read, beginning of the evening, Brock Besser, name linked to the Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an interesting one. So I think high salary, but this guy has been underperforming. But what a player! So if there would be any chance, any deal that Hughes would be making, trading players, trading assets to get this guy in, now you're accelerating your rebuild, especially on front. I love this player.
Can you imagine this guy with a guy like Suzuki feeding him the puck, or a guy like Drouin even feeding him the puck? To me, I mean, being in BC here, I got to watch him and Elias Peterson as well quite a bit. And Besser has always been one of my favorites. The guy can snipe the puck like nobody else. He's got a wrist shot and a little snapshot, not the big slap shot, but a little wrist and snapshot. It's laser quick. He lets it go in a hurry, and he's very precise with it too. He hits the net with that. He's not the fastest. He's not slow, but he's not the fastest skater. He's about 6'1", close to 200 pounds. But that guy can find the open space, and once he finds it, I tell you what, he will shoot through a crowd and people will get moving.
I don't know, rumors are rumors, but this one got me excited more than the trade rumors and what we can get for Lehkonen for others. I mean, it said, "Oh, Brock Besser." It's the first time I actually, during this trade period, that I see an actual player from another team being linked to us, like acquiring something.
And by expensive, actually, he makes about 5.8 million right now. He's a restricted free agent. I think
will be able to ask for.
He's got a year. He's 25 years old, so he's got a year or two before being an unrestricted free agent.
Yep.
He's looking for a deal apparently in the ballpark of 7.5 million long term. So the Canadiens, if they can find room to pay that guy, he's definitely one that I would pay that amount of money. I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we have Suzuki signed long term. Now we'll have Caulfield to sign.
Anderson is for a couple of years.
So I think if we can get another guy and another sniper up front like that, we need goals, right? So I think
in order to do that, you need to unload salary in your bottom lines. So yes. and bring up the younger.
And that's where it sits really. Caleb Brun and Eric Stevens of The Athletic report that Maxime Comtois is available.
That because he's a French Canadian and a Quebecois,
young guy.
It's a natural, but he'd fit perfectly in that rebuild over there. I mean, I've looked at him play, and this year he's having a tough season, injuries and everything, and he was not performing. So, and with all the kids that are coming up in their organization, I think I'm not sure. I think they'll be patient trading him. They'll trade him for the right price. They probably definitely won't get a first round pick for him, but second, third rounder, maybe a B prospect, and because he's an established young player in the NHL, so there's a price to pay for that. And I will welcome him in with the Montreal Canadiens with open arms for sure.
RDS last week, they reported that the Canadians had some interest for a goaltender in Washington, Ilya Samsonov.
Samsonov.
And last night, Washington had 2 scouts at the game. True that they were playing Phoenix, so they could have, or Arizona, so they could have been looking at either team or both. But they are one of the teams, along with the Rangers and a few other teams, who are very, very interested in Lehkonen. If the Canadians are to trade a guy like Allen and have a 24-year-old like Samsonov coming in, or 25-year-old like Samsonov, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. So, it's just food for thoughts here.
Yeah, they would need to throw Lars Seller in the mix. So
to please some anyway.
Good old Lars. Yeah, so in the back there. I think he's on the RR actually right now. But yeah, I mean Samsonov is a guy with great potential. I think he's not living up to his potential now with this team. He's quite irregular, but his 24-year-old, damn it. So it just maybe a change of scenery, different environment, different going coach, because this guy was always highly regarded, but before he got drafted in his first year in the NHL. So man, if they want to let that guy go, I mean, they're pretty lean on the goalie staff. Their goalie number 3 in the organization is Zach Ficali, I think. And I mean, for all I think of Zach Ficali,
but they're looking at an improvement in goal. That's why they're talking about possibly unloading Samsonov, because he wouldn't clear waivers anyway, right? So they might as well get something for him. So that's it for the rumor mill this week. No, it's not it for this year, guarantee. So I just want to let you guys know to follow Habs Rumor Mill on Twitter. So it's at Habs_rumor mill in one word on Twitter and on their Facebook page. They are associated with us, and they have a section actually on cheeringthelogo.ca where you can read all the latest rumors. What we're doing with Habs Rumor Mills is we are doing a little bit like Spectre's Hockey. I don't know if you know Lyle Richardson, but we take rumors from legitimate NHL insiders and traditional media. So we don't look at the guy who knows someone here, and we just bring it up, okay, for you guys to see. So there's an entire section on our website on cheeringthelogo.ca for the rumor mills. At this time of year, it's very popular. I encourage you to go have a look every day, and to keep track of that.
And now, check carefully for those fake accounts, the Pierre LeBrun fake account, absolutely. And others. Some people find it funny. I don't. I mean, this is no joke. This is way past, and I don't suggest people report them, but it's just like, okay, stop giving him attention and everything. Stop replying. Just tell him to, F off. And that's it. So I'm just, I mean, we're all about getting informed and being passionate about the game. So when someone throws in something and, I'm going to make a good joke, I'm going to be so funny. No, this just make sure that when you read where it's coming from, make sure that it's a legit account. Just saying.
So. Absolutely. Well, on that note, I would like to put a pass on the tape for you. But before I do that, what's going on with the Vegas Golden Knights? Sly, you live in Vegas. They're 4-9-1, so 321 points percentage with Jack Eichel in the lineup, which puts them in 28th position overall since then. They now occupy the last wild card spot.
Yeah.
And only 1 point ahead of Dallas and Vancouver, and 2 points ahead of Winnipeg. And all of those teams have games in hand.
4 games for Dallas on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, true that they're missing some key pieces. Pacioretty has missed some time. He's day-to-day now. Martinez has been gone. Robin Leonard has been gone. They're missing Stones. Oh, speaking of Stones, I got something for you. Chandler Stevenson had
Kidney
quite the
stones.
quote
No.
this week.
Okay. Okay. Good.
No, he had quite a quote this week, and about what the team needs to do in order to get back on track. And I would like to play it for you. I apologize in advance because the lips don't match the sound for some reason. I don't know why,
It's the
but
politicians are the same. So
it is him talking. I guarantee you that. So listen to what Chandler Stevenson had to say about what he feels the Golden Knights have to do.
I think it's. I'm sick of it. I think everybody's sick of it. So until we figure it out and just kind of, I don't know. I think it's everybody has to kind of dig deeper, grab their nuts, and just work. That's the bottom line.
So everybody has got to grab their nuts. So I don't know how close of a dressing room they have out there, but I don't recommend doing that. In my years of playing hockey, keep your hands to yourselves, guys, in a dressing room. And he basically summed it up in a nutshell, right?
Oh. And I don't recommend it doing while you play. So grab your nuts while you're playing is it requires a lot of skills. So to come out of there safely. But what's going on with the Golden Knights? There's many thousand because there's an interesting fan base there, and people are used to make the playoffs. So when we make the final in the first year, and being criticized saying that it was it was organized by Bettman and everything. Yeah, screw that. We still made it. But people thought we had, it's like when you win a major tournament, so you get a 15-year exemption. So people thought here that we were good to make the playoff 15 years. And this is not exactly what's going on here. Injuries, a change in leadership. I think DeBoer is not as good of a coach as some people would think. And the major factor is the leadership. So I mean, you can play through injuries and stuff. And there's look at the Kings right now. Half of the team is on IR. Yee Viva Las Vegas. And half of the team is on IR. They're still winning, and they find a way to win. Golden Knights, when they lose a bunch of players, they can't. Reason number one: Marc-Andre Fleury is gone. So people say, "Hey, you got to live in the past." It's an old goalie. He's still doing very well with Chicago, but this guy was the heart, soul, and face of the franchise. When he left, you can feel, and I kind of know, and I kind of go run around some of the players, and they all feel that they're missing the soul of the team here. Stone is a great leader. He leads by example, but he's not as visible as Fleury was. Then you have the top enforcer in the league, who's now with the Rangers. So they lose a lot of their grip and their capacity to intimidate. So the style, we had a style. We had an identity here in Vegas before. So tough team, in your face team, and they can score on you. So a lot of goals on the rush and everything all in your face. Right now, they have no identity. So it's not that the talent is not there. It's just they just can't get it to get together. And the situation in goals is dramatic. I mean, Leonard is on IR. This guy's fragile now. I think it's a blessure au bas du corps, as they say in French. So it's a lower body injury. His shoulder is already kaput, like one of them. And Laurent Brossoit is at best a B minus, second guy. And Logan Thompson is the third goalie. He's the best goalie in the American League last year, but it's this baptism in the NHL. So I don't know if five losses in a row, playing against the Panthers tomorrow night with Ben Chiarot maybe in uniform. I don't know what's going to end. If they lose another one and the other teams like Dallas, Vancouver, Winnipeg start winning, they can kiss bye to the playoffs. They're still, they how many games left? They have 20 games left to save their year, and no one here, and the insiders, they don't know how they're going to do it.
Is it possible that they loaded too much on Stardom? Because they had a team that had excellent work ethics. They were misfit toys to start with, and they pulled all together. William Carlson and all those guys, right? It seems like now they might be a little top heavy, just from the outside looking in here.
They don't have depth, and right now it's like in baseball. I read another guy the other day saying that the team who wins the World Series, the two teams that get to the World Series are teams that are healthy at the end of the year, and they have depth. And right now, when they lose someone like Pacioretty, they don't have the secondary scoring to come and out there. They call ups from the Anderson Silver Knights, and these guys, their top prospects are gone. So they just traded them for everybody.
Yeah.
It's tough on defense. Not so bad, but they're not playing well. On defense, they're not horrible. Stats don't say that, but they're not that horrible. I think they're weak in goaltending. On top, if they don't get the primary scoring, and again, Eichel has been very good considering. He's picking up, and every game is better. Is this guy and the people and what he said in Buffalo the other night after the game, talking about the fans, resonated here in Las Vegas, and people are like scratching their head. Is this guy a leader? Is he going to say that about us soon? The fans. So there's a turmoil in Las Vegas. So we're going to watch him, but I'd be sad not to have playoffs here. So Canadians gone.
They don't have cap space to do anything at trade deadline.
Nothing. They're done. Yeah. They have nothing. So anything they have to do, the guy that they can trade, like Chandler Stevenson, I mean, if they trade him, they lose so much. I mean, the Heichel thing, I think also diverted their attention. It was very, very distracting all year round.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to take a little pause in the summer and regroup. But hopefully they regroup now the next 20 games, because they can kiss goodbye to the playoff and the revenues and everything. Yeah,
that's Bettman's team. He wouldn't be happy, that's for sure.
Oh, come on. He won't be. Bettman was hoping that Seattle would do better this year and that become his team. But no, I'm sure that Bettman, with his private jet, loves to land in Las Vegas on this trip more than
absolutely
at the Seattle airport. Yeah.
Well, there's the Canadiens, just to go finish with that, then the Canadiens have 2 games remaining in the before the trade deadline, I should say. So they're playing tomorrow night. The Dallas Stars are the visitors. So a team that is competing directly with Vegas. With a win, they could pass Vegas tomorrow night if the Golden Knights lose.
They're motivated for sure.
So Dallas is not out of it. They're rumored to be into just about everything as well. Unfortunately for them, they lost a very good defenseman, which could put Klingberg off the market for trades now. They might hang on to him because Eskinen just was injured, and he's going to be what is it, mononucleosis, I think.
Mononucleosis, yeah. That's always indefinite. It's 4 to 6 weeks minimum. Yeah.
So that's serious. So I wouldn't be surprised if Klingberg stayed now. But those 3 guys, I mean, they were their go-to guys on defense, right? Playing 22, 23, 24 minutes a night. You always had one of them on the ice. So now with one gone, we'll see how that affects it. They weren't chased for in a race for Chiarot. They didn't want to pay as much as Florida did, obviously. And then on Saturday, the Canadiens host the Ottawa Senators for the last game before trade deadline. So all the rumors that we've been through recently, there could be some action happening from now until then. Monday night is trade deadline day. The Canadiens receive the Boston Bruins. So what lineup we'll see in Montreal against the Bruins, your guess is as good as mine.
I don't know. Do you think, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that they're going to keep players in the stands until Monday? So they did it with Chariot. Do you think they're going to do it for Lehkonen, Hoffman?
If they're close to a deal, they might. I think the reason why they pulled Chiarot is because they were getting close to.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. Yeah.
To a deal with Florida, and there might have been another team involved. So by the time we learn of the deal in Montreal today, apparently the deal had been signed for an hour. So that shows how little leaks there was on this actual deal. It was just pending a trade call.
And big news out of Ottawa, Victor Mete wants to be traded. So
yes,
just saying, poor
Montreal should go get him.
Oh boy, yeah, to send him to Laval after. But poor Mete. He was in a bad situation here. He thought he'd find himself a home there, and that's turning sour. So that's that in the world of professional sport.
Yes, it is. Sly, we're done for now. First episode, I mean, it was something else. You know what I realized I forgot to do? I forgot to hit live. So we're only recording when we were supposed to be broadcasting on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook.
all right.
on Cheering the Logos channels.
Then you can edit some of
I
my.
had a message actually from a follower saying, "Hey, aren't you guys supposed to be live?" Yes,
Yeah.
we actually are, but
Played it.
by the time you see it, we won't be.
Play the theme live at the end, so that's
So I will upload this on YouTube for everybody to watch.
yeah.
So I apologize for that. The rookie mistake here. It's just a couple buttons that I needed to click, and by the time I realized it was too late. Follow us on Twitter at Cheering the Logo, on our Facebook page as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. By the time you watch this here, hit the subscribe button just below, and like our channels. This way you will be informed of any new episodes coming out. We will try to get Sly with us as often as possible. His busy schedule is preventing him from being full-time with me, but eventually I'm trying to convince him, if your job is getting in the way of leisure, just quit your job.
Yeah, I'm only about 20 years from retirement, so we're good. If the podcast lasts that long, we'll be fine. I'm gonna have more time on my hands.
I mean, he's got a tough job. I mean, you look at him now, and Sly's is 35 years old, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. White beard and everything. Yeah, grandfather of two. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
That's
thank you.
So for the young people that are the young crowd that are watching us, we're gonna make reference sometimes, and you gotta have to open books, books like with pages, and look at the books, because there's some stuff that we're gonna talk about it. And when we hear names like Gump Worsley, and even Phil Esposito, so they're different era, but sometimes we got those crazy references, and just to put things in perspective and to reach the diverse crowd that we're going to be building through this.
Well, we both played with two blades, so.
Yeah, that's it.
That gives you an idea. We figure Sly and I, between the two of us, have about 100 years experience in hockey at different levels. So,
and many Stanley Cups. So,
well, we've seen them. We haven't won them.
No, exactly. So, kids, be patient, right?
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and please share with your friends. The more people we are, the better. And the next time we'll be live, we'll be able to take questions from you through Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We'll show your questions. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to get you on the show as well. So
that'd be good. Yep.
Yeah. So we want it to be very interactive, and we will definitely have a show on whether Sly can be there or not. I don't know, but on the trade deadline day, okay, probably somewhere around the limit, okay, just to talk about what's been happening. And if there's a trade happening, an important trade happening, I might hop on my own and try to do that on my own, just talking about that one specific trade. So we'll do some spot shows like this. Follow our Twitter account as at Cheering the Logo, and on our Facebook page as well at Cheering the Logo, and you'll know when we do our shows. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Sly.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on your first show. And next time we're live from wherever we are, we promise.
Out west. Yes.
Out west.
Thank you for watching. So long, everyone.
Okay.